welcome back. Today I have an update on my Pan That / Every palette. So I am working on one dedicated palette that I'm just trying to get as much use as possible out of before I declutter it at the end of the year. That is my oldest palette, the Sultry palette from ABH. I really love this palette. It's been nice to kind of have it as a go-to this year, but I am kind of starting to notice a little bit of a difference in the performance of it, and it's just, yeah, the oldest one in my collection. So definitely happy to still get use out of it though. So I will be updating you on this palette, and then I'm also do 2 palettes at a time that I randomly roll in, and I try to hit pan in one shade out of each of those palettes. Now I have a pretty small collection, so I'm trying to work through every palette in my collection and getting a pan in, a shade from each of them this year. So let's start with the Pan That palette. I will insert a clip of what it looked like last month. And this is where we're at now. So not a ton of difference in the palette itself. I don't have any new pans and I haven't finished any new shades up. It's really just kind of been using it and dipping in here. Maybe the pans have expanded a little bit, but not a ton of progress. I have to say this summer, I've been into like a one shadow look pretty often. So I'm not doing as complex of eyeshadow looks where I might have like 2 crease colors and maybe 2 colors on the lid and a liner. Like in the summer, I've just been reaching more for a single wash of color and that's pretty much it, or maybe something in the crease too. So my usage on this palette is definitely down for July. I'm just going to talk through the shades that I actually used this month. So starting here with Steampunk, this is kind of like this golden antique gold shade. This is what I have on my lids today. I do really like the shade. I have blue eyes, so I feel like golds always kind of enhance the blue in my eyes. I find it very flattering. So I only used Steampunk this one time today. I used Rose Quartz one time too. That is a nice kind of rose gold type shade, and that one is nice as a one shadow look all over the lid. So I may start to use this one a little bit more in August. I just kind of tried it as a whim, as a one shadow look, and I liked it. So just the one use on Rose Quartz. Moving down to Birch, this kind of warmer brown shade, that is a matte. I use this in the crease, when I want a warmer crease. I use this twice this month, one including with the eye look today, but really wasn't reaching for this one too much, but I did reach for Twig 5 times. So I have another shade that I've been working on for my Norvina palette, the Dazzling shade, which I'll show you in a second. And I've been using that one as like an all over the lid type look. And sometimes I'd use Twig in the crease just because it's a little bit of a cooler brown. And so this paired better than Birch did. So yeah, I used Twig 5 times and that is it. That's all I've used out of this palette this month. So definitely, I think I'll get more use out of it as we cool back down, maybe like late September, October time. I do really want to hit pan on Cyborg, the silver shade down here. This is the last one I have to hit pan on. Otherwise, everything has pan or has been used up. So that is still a goal of mine. I just don't think that'll happen until we get into cooler weather because I'm just really not as into like a silvery, icy look right now. So that is the progress there. Not a ton, but still used it, still reached for it. Okay, let's move into the pan in every palette portion. So the first one I have here is the Norvina palette. This is one of the newer palettes in my life, but I've been working on this one for a few months now, and I've been working on the shade Dazzling. I did hit pan on Dazzling, which is very exciting. I'll kind of try to get it showing here. So I actually hit pan on Dazzling today when I was doing my eye look. I have a little bit of it in my outer third. I wasn't really going to use it, and I thought, let's just get a use out of it, and boom, hit pan. So that's really exciting. I am so happy to have pan on it. I do love the shade a lot. Like I said, I've been using it as a one shadow look, just kind of throwing it on the lid and then buffing it into the crease. I think it's a gorgeous one shadow look. I feel like it looks kind of different in the pan than it does on my skin. I just did a get ready with me using this shade. So it's a really pretty, you know, kind of shift and sheen there. And when I do just an initial swipe, it has quite a bit of brown in it. But as I blend it out here, like I would kind of with the crease, it just kind of softens up to this really nice sheen, kind of wash of color. So that's how I used it quite a bit this summer. Like I said, I've just been really into that one kind of wash of color all over the lid. It's quick, it's easy, it adds a little, you know, something to the eye, but not too much. And I also really like the tone of it, because using like a champagne in that same way, or like a bright light color, I feel like it was a little bit too bold for what I'm wanting right now. So this worked out really, really well. I'm so excited. So this past month, I've used it 14 times for a total of 29 uses to hit pan in a shimmer 88 shade. So that's great. I'm super excited about that. And I have another pan in my collection as well. So this palette will be rolling out, and we will roll in a new palette at the end of this video today. The second palette I've been working on is the ColourPop Wild Nothing. So I actually popped the shade that I am using out. But if you're curious on where it lives in the palette, I have a few other shades popped out. Seashells is the green, and it lives right here in the palette. So I have it in my little Z palette that I use kind of on a daily basis. So I've used Seashells 6 times this month, and this is where we're at. So, you know, I do have a good bit of a dip in there, but nothing too wild. ColourPop shades are pretty deep pans. So, you know, I'm working my way, but I don't think this is going to be showing pan next month even. So yeah, I used it 6 times for a total of 12 uses in this project. I'd used this shadow before, but I'm really liking it. This is kind of like an icy mint green. What I like is that it offers just a little bit of pop and a nice kind of bright tint to the lid. So I can pair it just by itself or with gold. So you can see it just really grabs the light there, but it doesn't pull overly green in my opinion. So that's been really nice to kind of play with. I can make it look more green depending what I pair it with, or I can have it be a little bit more neutral, kind of depending what I pair it with. So I really, really like this. I think it's a good like entry level green if you are kind of scared of color, but maybe you want to try something. This has been really, really nice for me. So this will be staying in. I'm going to keep it in my little Z palette still. I like having it there. I have other shades, you know, like my inner corner highlight and the shade that I set my primer with. So it's just kind of nice to have it all in one place. So that is staying in. Before we roll in the other palette, I wanted to give you an update on my pan percentage. So I did hit pan in another shade. So now I have 23 pans in my eyeshadow collection, but I also had to declutter 2 eyeshadows. So they were the Super Shock shades in this palette that lived here and here, respectively. They were irritating my eyes. I tried to use them, but they were like flaking down and just super dry and getting into my eyes and irritating them and kind of scratching. So I decided it was just time to declutter them. So I'm actually down 2 shades in my total numbers. So I have 116 eyeshadows in my collection that I could hit pan on, and I have 23 pans amongst those 116. So 23 divided by 116 and then multiplied to percentage is 19.82%. What? So I said at the beginning of the year I would love to hit 20%. I am like literally 1 pan away from that, which is bananas, but I am super excited. So hopefully, you know, Seashells ends up being my 20%er. We'll see if something else happens faster, but super, super pleased there. You know, even though I have a small eyeshadow collection, I do feel like I'm really using it all this year, because in years past, even though it's small, I have a couple of favorite palettes or I just don't reach for certain shades. So this has been a really, really nice project for me to kind of rotate through and make sure I'm using every palette throughout the year. With that being said, we need to roll in a new palette. I have 2 remaining that have not been in this project yet, and they are both from ColourPop. So I have the That's Taupe palette. This is a 9-pan palette, and the Bare Necessities palette, which is a 30-pan palette. So what I'm going to do is use the Pretty Random app. I have it set for my spreadsheet, and we'll see what the random gods give me today. So here we go. Number 2. Now, of course, I can't even remember which one's 2 and which one's 3. Bare Necessities. Okay. So that's actually all right. This is a little bit of a cooler tone palette, and I think of winter with it more than summer. So I was kind of hoping it would go this way. So that's taupe will be the next palette when I'm ready for it. But Bare Necessities here. So I do have one shade right now that I am working on finishing in my project pan. It's been popped out, and then this shade that's popped out is my like contour shade when I decide I want to contour. But this is what the palette looks like. It's a very like neutral base palette. It's got a lot of different finishes, and it pulls a little bit warm. So what I want to do is look in here for probably a shimmer, to be honest, but something that I want to use. And I think I'm just going to swatch a few things here, and then we'll kind of weigh the options. So the first 2 that come to mind, the Talk and Designer Duds. I know I've used these before. There's dips in them, and they're just a really nice, where do I want to swatch this? Hold on, let me get seashells out of the way. Okay, so the darker one here that you can probably see better is Designer Duds, and right below it is another shimmer that is called the Talk. So those are 2 options. I also could do Silk Teddy, which is a really beautiful kind of like, I don't know, just shimmery. I don't even know what color that is. It's kind of like a medium skin type color with some shimmer in it. Like, it's a little brown. It's a little cool tone. It kind of pulls a lot of different things. Another option we have is Rumored. This is definitely more like cool tone taupe though. So I'm not sure if I'm really feeling that vibe. It's a beautiful shade, but I think for summer, probably not. Nothing else is like really screaming at me. So I think I'm going to choose Silk Teddy, which is this one right here. I probably will end up popping this out and putting it in my little Z palette here, just so that I have, you know, my shades together. But I can also, you know, reach for any other shade in here, of course, but that's going to be the focus one. So again, that is this top shade right here. It really grabs a nice reflection. I think this will be great with a variety of different crease shades. It's very neutral based. So I could do cool or warm or like orangey or any kind of crease. And I think this would pair well, which is kind of why I'm drawn to it. So Silk Teddy it is. That's going to be the shade that we're focusing on. So very, very excited to get going there. Like I said, though, ColourPop shades are pretty deep, so it will take me a while to get pan on either of Seashells or Silk Teddy just because of the ColourPop pan size. So definitely excited to get some more progress and where I am so happy to have another pan and roll that one out, even though I love the Norvina palette. It's just time for something new. So that is going to be it for me today. I hope you guys enjoyed this update. Let me know how your eyeshadow projects are going down below in the comment section, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.